Do you find that you're stuck at band 6 for your speaking score? One of the problems could be that you're not organising your thoughts and delivering your ideas to the examiner in a structured way. One of the problems that people have when they get a band 5 or a band 6 score in their speaking test is that they just kind of jump around and they say whatever comes to their mind without being able to organise their responses properly. If you do not deliver your ideas to the examiner in a way that is easy for them to follow, your score can be limited. In this video, we're talking about the part 2 section of the speaking test, and I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can structure your delivery. Now, part 2, if you're not sure, this is where the examiner asks you to speak for 2 minutes on a topic. And this is the most important part of the speaking test because it is where the examiner gets a chance to sit back, actually listen to what you're saying and have more time to consider the kind of score that you're going to get in the end. So the bottom line is, if you put in a strong performance in part 2, then you're much more likely to increase your score. Part of a strong performance is having a well-organised 2-minute talk that you can give. Watch this video, find out 2 easy ways to structure your 2-minute talk. So, hi there, my name's David Bourne, I am your IELTS coach, and IELTS Breakthrough is your channel for improving your IELTS score. If you want to study at an international university or progress in your career, make sure you subscribe to IELTS Breakthrough so that you get free tutorials on all the important tips and tactics that you need to get the best score in IELTS that you can without taking it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, even 5 times. Make sure you subscribe. Let's look at these 2 strategies then. And just to remind you, here we are focusing on that part 2 section in the speaking test. Here's the thing. We all like to have certainty. In the context of the speaking test, certainty comes from the listener knowing what to expect about what's coming next. Many speakers do not really think carefully enough about the structure of what they're going to say, and therefore their speech becomes unpredictable. If you're going to deliver an unpredictable talk, then your listener, that is the examiner, will become uncertain and probably a bit frustrated. This, of course, is not going to help your score. So, the first easy thing you can do is take a listing approach. Yes, it's that easy. Make sure that you just list things. Now, listing, keep to the 3-point system that I usually teach. So think of your list in terms of 1, 2 and 3. If you go to 4 or 5 points, it kind of gets a bit boring. And anyway, with just 2 minutes, often 3 points is plenty. So the key thing here is simply to signal each point on the list. And you know the phrases that you can use to give signals of the points. Let me tell you them anyway. First of all, firstly, second, secondly, in addition to this, and finally. One thing that comes to mind, another point worth mentioning is The point I'm trying to make is to use these signal phrases as you go through each point. And also get in the habit of breaking down your response in terms of 1, 2, and 3. Now, just to make this clear, let's look at a full example where these signal phrases are used. So, let's just listen to this example, and as you listen, note where the signal phrases are used.
Let me tell you about a memorable holiday I took last year. First of all, it was the first time I traveled abroad with just my friends, so it felt like a real adventure. We chose Thailand because it offered a mix of culture, beaches, and nightlife. Secondly, I really enjoyed the food. Thai cuisine is incredibly flavorful, and we even took a cooking class in Chiang Mai to learn how to make pad thai and green curry. And finally, what stood out the most was the friendliness of the locals. They were always ready to help, and we had some great conversations that helped us understand their culture better. It was a trip that gave me a taste of independence, helped me grow closer to my friends, and opened my mind to a new culture. I'll never forget it, and I'd love to go back someday, perhaps to explore the southern islands more deeply.
In the comments section, if you have any questions about this, remember to ask. It's really great to hear from you. And let's move on to the second strategy that you can use. Now, the thing here is to be aware of how our mind works. And our mind just jumps from one thing to another really quickly. It's kind of amazing, isn't it, really? If you do any meditation, then you will be aware of all of the crazy, disconnected thoughts that come into your mind for no reason. And of course, that comes through when we are speaking. If we're not careful, we just kind of deliver our thoughts without showing any connection between them. Although it is natural to jump around, it does confuse the listener if you do not tell them where you are going with things. And again, if you confuse the listener, they're going to get frustrated. And if your examiner is frustrated, how do you think that will affect your score? So, once again, the key is to recognize that we will jump around, but use signal phrases that help your listener and guide them from point to point. Here are some of the useful phrases that you can use. Anyway, moving on to another aspect, that reminds me of, on a different note, speaking of which, let's shift to another point. Let me show you how all of this works with another example here of a full 2-minute talk. Once again, listen to the audio and notice how and where the signal phrases are being used.
I'd like to talk about my favourite hobby, which is painting. I usually paint landscapes using watercolours, and I find it very relaxing. I started painting when I was in high school and have continued ever since. Anyway, moving on to another aspect. I also enjoy visiting galleries and exhibitions to find inspiration and learn new techniques. Speaking of which, I once went to a Monet exhibition and it really changed the way I use light and colour in my work. On a different note, painting also helps me deal with stress. After a long day at work, sitting down with a brush and some colours helps me forget about my problems for a while. It's like a form of meditation for me. I know I'm not a professional, but I've even sold a few of my pieces online. Overall, painting is not just a hobby for me. It's a big part of how I express myself.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. 2 very simple strategies that you can use. First is the listing phrases, and then second is to tell the listener when you are changing topic. Both of these strategies require you to use the signalling phrases that I have shown you. So the big thing here is to make sure that you learn and practice those signalling phrases. Firstly, maybe put them on digital flashcards and kind of revise and review the phrases so that you know the phrases automatically. And then just try speaking, repeating those phrases so that you are comfortable actually saying them. You need to get to a point where these phrases are automatic. Once you have practiced the individual phrases, you can actually have a go at applying them in a part 2 practice. And in fact, I'll give you a couple of practice exercises here. You can try either listing or changing the topic as you will. These are prompts just to help you go through the part 2, but if you want to change it, of course, that's completely up to you. So the first one, that we have the main topic of big cities. Starting with talking about what you did there, maybe 1, 2 or 3 activities that you took when you visited a big city, and then maybe a list of what to be careful of in a big city, the potential dangers and scams. And then the last one is again a listing, talk about why big cities are good places to go for weekends away. Here is a second idea for practice. The main topic is to talk about a shopping centre I like to visit. You can start by describing what is in the shopping centre, and then something you bought there, and then change the topic and talk about another shopping centre that you like. There is a whole selection of videos on the speaking test, so make sure that you check those videos out too on the IELTS Breakthrough channel. And of course, let me know in the comments section, what else do you need to know about part 2 of the speaking test? Especially, what kind of problems do you have when you try and prepare for speaking? Or even, are there any topics that you want help in talking about? Let me know in the comments section as usual. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, day or weekend. I'll see you in the next one.